I'm Richard Barbieri,
I'm Steve Hogarth.
and you're watching ROCKNLIVE. Well, we've known each other quite a while now, and we're good friends, and I've worked on a lot of Steve's music and played live with him as well, but you know, I always wanted to do something where we equally were involved in a project. And with our schedules, with our own bands, with Marillion and Porcupine Tree, it's always very difficult to find the time. But over the last couple of years, I've been writing music, and I wanted to present that to Steve with a view to making an album. So I made the first move, and I started. And it's taken a while, but gradually we've got there, and we finally made this album that we've wanted to make for a long time together. And I'm really pleased, you know, it's so nice to finally actually have some work out there, because you know we've known each other a long time, and we should have done this years ago, really.
Yeah, but I'm glad we didn't in a way, because it might not have been this record if we had, and it's a good record we've made. I've got a shirt made out of exactly the same material as this, and I nearly wore it, and I would have vanished completely. It's got the stripes and everything. I'm gonna shave off all my... Yeah, and it was a very, very stark division of labour in that sense. Richard sent me, emailed me MP3s of instrumental pieces of music, and left them with me, and I set up a little studio at the top of my house and had a lot of fun just recording all of these voices, and dreaming up the melodies to go with the lyrics and whatnot, and then sent that back to him. So we didn't work in the same room ever at all. I mean, we only met about 4 or 5 times just to swap files. It was an interesting way of working, and I really enjoyed it, because when you work in a studio with even one person present, you're conscious of them being there, and it messes with your vibe all the time. You know, I'm someone who's very conscious of other people's presence. I'm not a very self-contained person, and if anyone is around me, I'm, you know, they get another version of me because they're there, you know. When I'm on my own, you know, I'm left alone with the real one. And so it's quite an interesting and liberating process to work completely alone, without the paranoia or the neurosis of anyone else's presence.
Inspirations come not necessarily from other music or other artists. For me, it's a more kind of emotional thing. So it can be nature, it can be feelings, it can be imagery, sounds that I hear, everyday sounds. Also books, films. So I don't listen to other artists and say I want to make this kind of album. So it's often ideas that are going through my head, and obviously when you're writing music you can't articulate that with words, so it's a lot more abstract, but still the feeling's there. And every piece of music there was a definite kind of imagery that I had, and well, on more than one occasion Steve actually picked up on the same kind of vibe as well. We started off, as Steve said, separate. I worked at home, and he worked at home on the vocals, but when we wanted to use some other musicians, we went into a studio. So although it's very much our personalities in this album, there are a few contributions from other musicians, most notably a friend of ours called Dave Gregory, who was in a band called XTC, and he's a very talented guy, and he did some string arrangements and some guitar and bass. And just to have his input, and actually his opinion, you know, was we both kind of quite trust his musical instincts. We've got a lot of respect for him, so it was nice to have him involved in the album as well.
He's done some fantastic guitar playing that you might not even notice because it's so in phase with the music. It's so part of the music. It doesn't sit on top and go, hello, here I am, I'm a guitar player. It just goes, and it's another layer of paint in the picture, which is really intuitive of him. He's an amazing musician. Whatever were you thinking?
Yeah, you know, a lot of things start with rhythm, and sometimes you use that just as a help in order to write things on top. Other times it becomes quite important and you base everything around that rhythm. And this was just, I suppose it's like a drum and bass kind of rhythm. And you know, I do listen to a lot of kind of drum and bass as well, a lot of electronic music, so I guess subconsciously I like to use some of those rhythms occasionally. I just wanted something a bit more dynamic. I find it very hard to write dynamic music, but in this genre it's easier for me to be more kind of aggressive musically but still have my own personality. If it was like a rock song with a full-on, that I find very difficult to work my character around. But drum and bass electronic stuff works for me, and I didn't know what Steve was going to do. I mean, I didn't have any hopes for it, to be honest, but
when I heard it had so much energy that I thought, and I'd had that lyric floating around for quite a long time, and I'd been adding maybe one line a year to it. This idea of being so completely obsessed with another human being that you smother them with your own love and alienate them and drive them away, and know that you will drive them away but can't actually help it. You can't help yourself. You know this is good. This is going to drive this person away, but I just can't stop it. That was the basic idea behind that lyric. You know, I'll kill myself to be your man. But if you know that's how I feel, it will, you know, you'll leave. It's a good question, that, isn't it? The whole point of these solo shows is that nobody knows, including me. So I'll go on stage without really much idea of what I'm going to do. I'll definitely sing some songs. There's been times in the past where I wasn't even sure if I would do that. You know, these H Natural shows started life as an experiment to see if people would pay money to be in a room with me, and they did. And so then when all these people have paid money to be in a room with you, then you think, well, what shall we do with this then? That was the idea of it. It wasn't for me to do a show, it was just to be in a room with people and see what they wanted to happen. And so that's the idea behind these H Natural shows. I'll come on stage really without a set list or any idea what I'm going to do, and we'll talk and we'll try and work out what we'll do, and so we'll make the thing happen together. That's very scary from my point of view, because when you're a musician, usually you want to get onto a stage with something that's rehearsed and ready to go. So I do rehearse for these shows, but I rehearse like 50 songs, and you know, that I almost know, and then I just go and see what everyone wants to happen.
Do we play Marian songs?
Yeah, well, I people ask me to play them, and so I play them.
Okay.
So I'll do requests, You know, if people want to hear something, and I can, even if I don't quite know how to do it, I'll do it, even if it goes wrong in the middle. That's part of the ethos of doing these shows. It's not at all professional. It's a good question.
Yeah, we'd like to.
Yeah.
It's not going to be that easy. You know, we have to give a lot of thought to how we can make this music work on stage. Some of the tracks might sound quite minimal, but it's not easy to do that because we don't want to just go up with some laptops and play music off of that, you know. So then you start thinking about arrangements and how we're going to get all these vocals there, you know, there's multi-layered vocals.
Yeah,
How we're going to account for,
singers.
you know, 5 or 6 keyboards happening at the same time. So, you know, we need to think about the arrangement and how we can do it. But yeah, we'd like to try.